welcome to this video, this introductory video to your chakras. I'm Chantal, Akashic Record reader, Reiki master and psychotherapist. There's so much information about chakras. Where do you start? How do they support you? How do you know you're doing it right? What I wanted to do here is bring all the knowledge and years of my own experience, knowledge, reading, working with clients, and bringing to you a taste to give you a sense of what they like and how they can support you on your journey of healing, no matter what you've been through. Because each chakra obviously relates to a certain part of your body, to emotions, to experiences. And what I found that was really useful in supporting me when I had gone through trauma. Yes, I was working with a psychologist, but also I have these in my, what I call my sacred toolkit. So if you're interested in this, subscribe, because I bring all sorts of other things in as well. So your self-help ones, or ones that you can support yourself anywhere, anytime. Because it's really important, because I want you to be able to unfold your freedom. That's why I called it my business, to get that real sense of freedom and joy in life. And learning about your chakras is one way. Now that is why I'm wearing the color red, because we will start with the root one. Before we do that, I'm going to actually ask you to just have a look at this. This is your chakra system. You may or may not know about it. Doesn't matter. I want you just to tune in, not your favorite color, which one stands out for you right at this moment. So take a breath in, put your hand on your heart, and just make a mental note, because after we've gone through these, I'm actually going to take you back and see, did it resonate? Did it make sense? Or was it even a different one? As this gives you an idea of where they are when I share them. Okay, so let's get started. Root chakra, that's the one at the base. That is all about you feeling grounded, connected to nature, feeling secure and feeling safe. That is where you are literally relying on being cared for in the first years of your life. So what happens is, if you don't have that support, that nurturing, that nourishing, it creates all sorts of issues around fear of never feeling safe, not feeling secure, not feeling like you're belonging. That is what that root chakra is all about. So when you tune into it, use the color red, breathe in the color red, eat something red, use crystals. And as I mentioned, I'll be doing a lot more of these things with crystals and journaling, and how you can support yourself, how you can create balance in your life. So this is the foundation for your temple. So your temple is your spirit and in your soul. It needs somewhere to land. It needs somewhere to be. So it's also about learning how to care for your body, which a lot of us forget to do in this busy and doing life. You want to create stability. You want to create trust. You want to be able to be here. You want to feel you're allowed to be here. So what happens is, when you don't feel that, it creates this amazing amount of fear. It creates anxiety. And therefore, you're constantly feeling out of balance and out of whack. But until you understand that, you don't know actually fully how to support yourself. Well, that's been my experience anyhow. So that's using the color red. That is your root chakra, base at your perineum. So now I'm going to introduce you to the sacral chakra. And it's all about the color orange. And that one lies just below your belly button. So here, I'll bring this up again. And there it is. The sacral chakra is based just below your navel. Beautiful color orange. And this is where you become aware of giving and receiving. This is where you become aware of emotion. So you go from the physical into the emotional. This is where you get to feel pleasure. This is where your emotions come from. This is where you start to get your physical identity. This is all about you being able to not only give and receive, but it's also knowing how to have pleasure, desires, have them all met, all those wants and needs met. Because when you don't have that, what happens is, when you get unbalanced and ungrounded, you have this real sense of guilt being able to look after yourself. You get a real sense of guilt being able to do things that you want, because you're going against what you were taught. Not only that, what happens is you have this real sense of emptiness. This is where you might go and use substances, or you might use food, or this is where your addictions come in. This is where you have low libido. You don't have a sense of yourself sexually. This is why it's really important to have a beautiful, balanced sacral chakra, to be able to just live life full of pleasure, without guilt, and full of enjoyment. Take a nice deep breath in and just get a sense of what did that mean for you. Now, the next chakra is your solar plexus. Now, I don't actually have a color yellow, because I can't wear yellow, so I'm just going to use this, found this scarf that actually happens to have all the chakra colors, which I absolutely love, and going to bring in the color yellow. Now, that one is based just on your diaphragm. This is where you come into you start separating, you start becoming yourself, as Jung would say, you start individuating. This is where you get a sense of your, what they call ego. This is where you get your sense of self and confidence and self-esteem, where you begin to identify with your actions, becoming, as I said, separate, where this is where your power lies. This is where your self-esteem lies. So if you have not had that built up, can often be a real sense of shame around yourself. Now remember, shame, as Brené Brown says, is all about you are bad. Whereas guilt, which lies in the sacral chakra mentioned, is about you feel guilty about a behavior. So note that difference. I'll be talking more about that when I do the individual one. So you might like to subscribe, get notifications, because shame is a big one for so many of us in our lives. It dictates us. We lose our sense of power, who we are. We don't know how to go out in the world feeling fully confident. And in fact, we lose a sense of spontaneity and joy. So we don't know how to act. We don't know how to be free in our lives. So again, use anything color yellow, tune into that. And how you can balance that is you can work with journaling, you can work with your crystals. And again, that'll be my next video. So I'll talk more about how you can do that to support yourself. The next one is about your heart chakra. Beautiful green. Oh, green. And also, if you have a second one, you can actually also use rose, beautiful pink. I often use a lot of pink and hot pink for that. But the main color is green because it's all about healing, nature, coming back into that. Now with the heart one, it actually links the bottom three with the top three. It is the one that's centered. This is where you have love, understanding. This is where you have love for yourself, love for others. This is where you come in, all about forgiveness, compassion. It's about having balance and harmony in your life. But when you are in deep grief, that could be because you've lost someone, you've gone through something traumatic, you've been terribly hurt. Grief then stops that sense of love. It actually closes your heart off. You actually can become very rigid and you don't know how to receive love. You don't know how to give love because you actually don't feel open. You no longer trust that sense of self. Because this is all about you accepting who you are, accepting your experiences. And once you do that, you build a relationship with yourself, but you also then can build relationship with others. And you can use this not only in your personal life, but you actually bring this into your business life. And again, I'll keep mentioning this. This is how trauma can affect you and affect you doing really well in your life, in your businesses. Because let's face it, it's all about relationships. Building, letting go, creating good relationships. But until you have that wonderful sense of yourself, as I said, love, acceptance, you go through a process of forgiveness to come to a place of peace that really does hold you back from leading the life that you want to lead. So the next one is your throat chakra, and I love using turquoise. So anything blue you can use here. And the throat chakra is where you learn to express yourself. This is where you learn to trust. So when you love yourself, when you have that lovely willpower in your solar plexus, when you have that sense of pleasure and grounding, what happens is you are able to express yourself. You feel confident in doing that. You trust yourself. This is where the expression comes out. This is, you know how to be around people, being able to give your opinion, being able to say what you feel you need to say. But here, this is where if you don't know how to do that, not being how to taught that because you've been told what you feel and what you say isn't correct, isn't right, where you don't have your own opinions, this is where it comes in the lies. Because what happens is you start lying to yourself, you lie to others, and it's often you're not aware of that you're even doing it. Because what you're doing is you're actually saying something you want other people to hear. So you know that one example, how are you? I am fine. When in fact, deep down within, you aren't fine. You're actually struggling. So that's where those lies come in. And what you're doing is you're not opening yourself up to that freedom of expression. This is where you're taking responsibility for what you say, how you say it. Now, even though you can't be responsible for how the other person receives it, what you can be is responsible for how you say and do. So you become responsive rather than reactive. And here also you learn to hear, to listen. what others are saying, but also what your intuition is saying, which is then your next chakra. So take a nice deep breath in, bring in that beautiful color blue, and just see what resonated for you. As we now go into the sixth chakra, which is your third eye, and it's indigo. So I've got as close to indigo as I could get here, blue. And as you can see, I love scarves because I love wearing them for color, for brightness. But again, they support me if I'm wanting to, just needing a bit of support, feeling a bit anxious. I tune into which one. So I use my pendulum, which I have here. And sometimes if I'm not tuned into my intuition, which took a long time to, again, after experiencing PTSD and depression, I lost contact with everything in my body. So I started using a pendulum to support myself. So I went, give me a yes and give me a no. And then that would help me. Or I would just sit quietly with my crystals or with my chakras, and then I just use my hand and allow it to come. So that's another way of how you can support yourself. So that's coming to this, to intuition. This is where you begin to get a sense of there's something bigger than yourself. You start to see images, you start to get intuitive, you start to get messages. This is where you start to get insight. And it's about trusting that insight. And that's what this one's all about. So it's about going beyond the physical realm. So you've cleared everything up, being able to express yourself. Because what happens here, when you get intuitive messages, signs, get a sense of that, it needs to then come out. You need to be able to trust yourself, to be able to share that with the world, to be able to inflow with that. So when you haven't believed that, or it hasn't been developed in you, or again, you've been put down, it's been considered woo-woo, or it's not real, that's what happens exactly. And an illusion is created. So what happens is it keeps you stuck in that. You don't believe yourself. You remain purely in your body, if you are even connected to your body, or at least in the physical side, and you don't know what is real. You believe what is perceived. So illusions are perceptions rather than what is real for you. Stops you going from the flow, stops you being in what you innately know, which is in your inner wisdom. So this is a really beautiful one to open up again. But I have to say, for me, it took me a long time to be able to do that, to trust myself, to trust what I was hearing, because there comes times in your life where it goes against what you're brought up with, what society says, what you're being told. So how can you trust yourself? Keep working on that. Keep breaking the delusions and illusions, and the perceptions of what you're thinking and feeling, to start getting your realities, to start believing in yourself. And that is why I have the chakras in my sacred toolkit with other things, because it starts to help me believe and grow that muscle. As I said, it's about building that muscle. So again, lovely deep breath in. What does that mean for you being intuitive? What's held you back? Okay. So the last one is, purple, is your crown chakra. This is the one that connects you to a higher mind, to a higher spirit. This is where you start exploring your own oneness and consciousness with the world. I really loved, particularly this last while, as I've been going through things in my own life, and I had shut down a bit. Because when you don't feel lonely, so here I'm cutting myself off, but when you don't feel connected with something bigger than yourself, you can feel very lonely and isolated. But it also takes a lot of courage to step into this big one, and to step knowing there's something bigger yourself, that you have a higher power, could be a God, could be spirits, whatever it is right for you. So don't allow those words to hold you back, because in the end, it's up to you to own what it is means for you. What does that mean for you that is higher than you? Okay, and what it does, it actually gives you a sense of space and time, something beyond our everyday. Because when you stay in the space of time following your clock, what you don't realize is you're blocking yourself off from flow. You're blocking yourself off from creativity. You don't get these beautiful inspirations coming through. You see, when you get inspired, it goes all the way down your different chakras for you then to be able to express that in your life. You know, you begin to identify with nature. See, I look at nature. I've actually had out-of-body experiences where I realized when I went there, and I don't share this often, is this huge sense of, wow, there's something so much bigger than me. How can I tap into that? How can I create trust in that? How can I believe that there's something there that is supporting me other than the physical, other than people, other than belongings and material things? So what happens here is when that hasn't been delivered, there's a real sense of attachment. So you stay attached to the small things. You stay attached to what's right here, what's now. You don't know how to release, to come back to a sense of non-attachment. You're not able to have self-knowledge, self-determined, and be able to have that wonderful sense of awareness. Wow. I just got that real sense. I just hope you can get that real sense of there's something bigger than you. It's scary and it's exciting. Gives you a wonderful sense of yourself, gives you a wonderful sense of wholeness and completeness, and a real sense of trust. So, this is the last, that was the last one. I would like you again just to tune in. Does the same one resonate with you? Is it a different one? I'd love you to let me know, comment. Subscribe if you want to get to know more about all the individual ones and how you can balance them, how journaling can support you in all this. Share with anyone you feel, because going through something like this, it's often fun to have someone to share it with, to have someone to talk about with it. What did you feel? How did you go? So why not share it with someone? Put on the notifications, and I'd love to hear your comments. What resonated? What didn't? How did it make you feel? Because it's just, all I want is for you to get a real sense of joy, freedom, love for yourself, trust. So when all these are balanced, you get that wonderful sense of who you are and who you are in the world. Knowing that every time you go a little bit away, you know how to come back, you know what you need to do and how to tune in. All my love. See you in my next video.